I read an editorial in the Friday Wall Street Journal, and unfortunately, because it turned out all right, but because my papers are delivered late, I've been saving the Wall Street Journal to read in the evening. So I read this editorial Friday night, and then I set it aside. And it's an editorial about Kamala Harris and the probability of her energy policies. And she has on board as her climate advisor, climate engagement director, a woman named Camila Thorndike. Isn't that a neat name?
Mm-hmm.
Camila Thorndike. And I read this and I thought, well, I've got to do some homework about Camila Thorndike. Americans don't know Kamala's position because she won't state it clearly. That's the problem I'm reading from the editorial. If personnel is policy, they may reasonably infer that she wants to shut down fossil fuel production. Why else would she hire Camila Thorndike, who wants to eliminate fossil fuels? That's not hyperbole. She wants them off the face of the earth. She doesn't want any part of them. Unlike Kamala Harris, Thorndike's views are clear. Thorndike was a legislative assistant to Bernie Sanders and policy director for the left-wing Rewiring America. To electrify everything, you'll need to replace any machine that currently burns fossil fuels. Gas-powered car, furnace, water heater, kitchen stove, dryer. That's according to Rewiring America. And then in the next paragraph, I was chilled. I was somewhat chilled. In March of 2021, Ms. Thorndike tweeted about the need for political and cultural change to overcome individualism, white supremacy, toxic patriarchy that fossil fuel companies weaponize against affordable solutions we already have for rapid decarbonization. In December of 2021, she called the fossil fuel industry a death cult that quietly murders every day. She thinks that dictators and oligarchs are U.S. oil and gas CEOs, not Putin, Nicolas Maduro, or Iran's Ayatollahs. Voters be warned, says the Wall Street Journal, radicals like Thorndike will be running a Harris administration. So I thought, my God, this woman, who is she? I started to do my homework. She calls for the overcoming individualism, white supremacy, and toxic patriarchy. She is a child of the mystery. She has been properly served by her failed academy, which was Whitman College in Walla Walla, Washington. The only thing she appears to have studied, she's in her early 30s, the only thing and she's happily divorced and will not have children because she's afraid of the climate. She's that far gone. And the only thing she appears to have studied since the age of 7, this is what I've read about her from reliable sources, is the environment. And she was an activist in high school and an activist in college. She's a bit of a Greta Thunberg.
She's a modern-day Morgan Q.E. Wolf Slattery.
But in a position to revolutionize and bring an end to American exceptionalism. When you want to get rid of individualism, you are stating quite clearly that you disapprove of the American way of life, and you intend to do something about it. And this young woman apparently has settled on the idea that the way to change American lifestyles is to deprive Americans of the lifestyles they've had. Freedom of movement and buying oil from toxic, patriotic white supremacists who run oil companies.
How is this different from the euphorians complaining that President Trump wants to force his rules, and they're complaining about that. That's what they're doing as well here, right? Or plan on doing?
Yeah.
Maybe by Trump, it's by force.
The Kamala Harris, I'm turning my pages here on my homework. The Kamala Harris campaign has tapped eco activist Camila Thorndike as its climate engagement director. She is a far-left activist who says oil and gas workers are part of the toxic patriarchy. The race against fascism is still too close, Thorndike stated last week, and this was dated October 27th. That's just a few days ago. The only way to stop Trump's Project 2025 from wrecking our progress and lives is to take action. So somehow the likes of, well, first of all, Project 2025 has been dramatically overrated. It's every party comes up with their version. In 2020 there would have been a Project 2020. In 2016 there would have been a. You don't think that Obama had a paper in his hands that said Project 2008? They all do it. It's their wish list, right. And there's really no reason that I can find to be alarmed by Project 2025. It calls for the use of fossil fuels, and this is probably why Camila Thorndike said that Trump needs to be stopped. It wrecks our progress. Mm-hmm. The progress she's intimating is the progress for us to get rid of you and your car and your dependency on oil and gas so that your temperatures are not going to be what they want in your house. Your food will have to be cooked differently. You won't be air conditioned. I don't think I'm exaggerating. I spent a lot of time reading about this woman. And the other question that occurred to me, if this is Harris's climate advisor, who in the hell else are the other advisors? I tried to find that, but all I really got was a roster of her campaign workers. Who's her agriculture advisor? Who's her Secretary of the Interior type advisor?
When you gave us this homework assignment, the conclusion that I drew was, wouldn't she just keep a lot of the same people in place?
Apparently. Who's her economic advisor? In early September, the Harris-Walz campaign brought in Thorndike, who had worked for Senator Bernie Sanders as a legislative aide drafting climate-related policies, and who served as a senior director post at Rewiring America. While with Sanders, Thorndike said there is something evil about the fossil fuel sector, adding that there's no greater source of harm than continuing to cook the planet. The planet is about 2 degrees warmer than it was a couple of 100,000 years ago. That's according to ice core samples taken in the Antarctic. That's my interjection. As pointed out by the attentive folks at the Washington Free Beacon, Thorndike has a history of radical climate activism in which she attempted to demonize anyone associated with fossil fuels. Wouldn't it be interesting to know if she has a car? Mm-hmm. In one post, she said she has no children because of the fear they would die young, asserting that the fossil fuel industry's eco-terrorism is great birth control.
Wow.
Thorndike has called out the fossil fuel industry as a death cult, while also urging political and cultural change to overcome the individualism, as bears repeating, to overcome our individualism, white supremacy, and toxic patriarchy that fossil fuel companies weaponize against decarbonization. Taking heat for her own far-left climate agenda, Kamala Harris has taken steps to back away from previous support for the Green New Deal and a ban on fracking in a bid to take the swing state of Pennsylvania home to tens of thousands of oil and gas workers. But why should I believe if as recently as September they brought on this lunatic to be her climate advisor, why should I believe Harris that she is backing off her ban on fracking? I don't believe it.
Yeah.
You're saying that she might have changed that way of thinking because it wasn't polling well?
As the Free Beacon noted, her appointment of Thorndike sends a clear signal regarding the kind of personnel who would staff a potential Harris administration. All right. Here's another story. This was called from the Story Exchange. I must admit, I don't know what that website is. This is dated September 5, when they brought her on board. As Environmental Awareness Month kicks off, Kamala Harris's presidential campaign has appointed longtime activist Camila Thorndike to lead its climate change charge. All right, we learn more of the same here. She worked for Bernie Sanders. Her appointment came with a vote of confidence from her former employer. Kamala is exceptional. Leah Stokes, senior policy counsel at Rewiring America, said to Politico, she is extremely committed to climate action and well-known and well-liked across the climate movement. She is a very effective campaigner who can get things done. I'm afraid that's something I'm afraid of. Thorndike has made public comments on her hiring. Honored to lead climate voters for Harris Walls toward victory in 2024, her LinkedIn profile reads. And in a post on the professional networking site that she shared, she added, "It's an honor to help the movements I love elect our future climate champions in chief." When the Story Exchange reached out to her for comment, we received an auto response indicating that she will be on leave from her job until mid-November. She has been a leader for over a decade. She is the co-founder of Our Climate, a nonprofit encouraging youth activism that launched in 2013. She was also director on the Chesapeake Climate Action Network and previously worked for the U.S. Institute for Environmental Conflict Resolution, among other posts at grassroots climate-focused organizations. She's won numerous awards and accolades, including the D.C. Environmental Network Award, a Sitka Fellowship, and a spot on the GRIST 50. I don't know what that means. It's a critical fight she's in. This is according to this website. Global temperatures are increasing. Water levels are rising. Well, they're not. They're not.
If they are, they go up and they go back down.
Weather patterns are becoming more extreme and erratic. They're not, but they are harming more people now than ever before because more people live where they didn't used to live. Mm-hmm. And resources are growing scarcer. I don't buy that. During an interview with Whitman College in Walla Walla, Washington, her alma mater, where she graduated in 2010, Thorndike asserted that these and other climate-related problems are collectively a product of a rigged and broken system and encouraged engagement in electoral politics as one means of fighting back. We're building a bench of climate leaders, she said. All right. What's this one? This is from Whitman College itself, where she graduated. She returned to Whitman to kickstart the college's 2022-2023 academic theme. This is the college's whole theme. The failed academy's whole theme at Whitman was climate justice, climate action. All right. That's not me, is it, Rook?
No.
It seems to me, Joe, that she doesn't have any idea as to how the world works.
Either does Greta Thunberg.
I mean, she has no idea how the food that's on the plate in front of her got there, or how the road she drove on arrived there, or the plane she flew in on, or the building that she's living in was erected. She has no idea how the world functions.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It necessarily follows that if you strap down the American citizen and restrict their movements, for example, if you and in doing so restrict their ability to reflect their individualism, it must logically follow that you wouldn't have this country.
Correct. Yeah. Home run.
We'd be getting closer and closer to all of us wearing the yellow Devo jumpsuits working at the broom factory.
Yeah.
Where do you want us to go here, Camilla? Plus, even if electric cars could be produced without ruining the earth and employing 9-year-old children in South Africa, you still can't afford the cars. And if she brings about the kind of cultural landscape she envisions, you won't be able to afford anything because you'll no longer be working as an individual for your own family. You'll be working in a collective to bring about a world without furnaces, air conditioners, microwave stoves, refrigerators, automobiles, trucks, tanks, warfare. The list would be endless.
Yeah, Welter would not like that.
She'd have a completely different world.
See, and that's what I was thinking. And I was thinking, my first thought was she's mentally handicapped, which I've learned is an offensive term. You're supposed to say she has an intellectual disability. So then I actually followed this lead, Joe, and that means she has issues with cognitive functioning and adaptive functioning. You read the definition of that? No, she doesn't. So she's not. It's not an intellectual disability. So is it evil, or is it this is just her thing? This is her niche. This is how she's making her money in the world. My deal is traffic, right? Your deal is you're a columnist. We all have our deal, right?
No, I'm a podcast host.
Right, you're a podcast host. Is this just her deal and she says these incredibly outrageous things to get a paycheck? I'm trying to figure out who the hell she really is.
I have a two-part answer.
Go ahead.
Well, the first answer is yes, this is how she earns a living.
Yeah.
But B, I do believe she would wish to bring this about. Now, maybe she fancies herself as part of a surviving ruling class that will still have access to travel and still have access to food and still have access to a computer and a telephone. Well, the rest of us, by definition, would be just abandoned.
Joe, that's evil intent. Do you think she recognizes that she has evil intent? I don't think she understands how the world works and how this would affect the daily lives of the majority of our citizens.